Hello everyone, welcome. How are you doing? It's nice to see you all. Yes, as you probably saw from the message, Sass now works in a school on a Monday. So Helen did the last session, so I thought I'd jump on and host today and just get back in the get back at the helm. So nice to see you all. And yeah, so welcome to everyone who's on the call, people joining all the time. Yeah, I'll do a little opening invocation and then I'll just maybe do a bit of an intro. And in the meantime, if you want to come on the call and share anything, what's happening in your world or anything, any burning issues that you want to discuss, then you know what to do. Put the yellow hand up in the reaction bar at the bottom, and I'll know to come to you. So I'm just going to do a little opening invocation, and this is a classic which I love. And a group of us went to Snowdonia last weekend, the weekend before last, and it just reminded me of the power of this prayer of the 7 galactic directions. So I'm going to share it with you again. From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Aho mitakuyasin for all our relations. We're all related. Okay, so I just wanted to share something from our stand in the park, Bakewell, yesterday. We had a small group. We keep the flame burning, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Actually, although I haven't been for the last 2 weekends because I've been to Bournemouth and to Snowdonia, but I'm back at Bakewell stand in the park yesterday. And a lady was there, and she was sharing with me that she had got into this kind of mindset of kind of scouring social media, looking almost like every day, looking for some breakthrough or someone to post something like it's over and the whole thing's collapsed. And I was just sharing with her about how we can inadvertently pour a lot of energy into the problem and inadvertently stoke the fire of the problem. And so I was sharing with her how important it is right now, if we can, to pour as much energy as we can into solutions and remedies. And so it becomes a bit of a challenge because, I'm kind of unhooking from mainstream media. I didn't even know much at all about this Nord Stream pipe explosions. And someone had to explain it all to me about what was going on. So there is definitely a downside to completely cutting off from the media. So it's kind of getting that balance, isn't it? So I just wanted to share that with you because, increasingly I'm less and less in the digital world and more out in nature and out at Crestbrook and, doing things that don't involve social media, basically. So anyway, let's start coming round the call We've got Patrick who wants to speak. So let's come to Patrick without further ado. Hey, Patrick, I'm going to put this on speaker view. Hold on. Patrick, can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Patrick. Yes. Welcome.
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, it's interesting, coincidence or whatever, that you mentioned the Nord Stream pipelines, because that's what I wanted to talk about for some reason.
Okay.
It just seems to be a major thing. It happened last Monday. And, one reason you don't hear about it much in the media, there is not much about it in the media. And yet I think it's a major thing. And it's sort of like America has cut off all of Germany's possibilities for peace now, that the only way forward is war, that they've completely cut the very thing that could be bargained over, or could lure Germany back into making peace with Russia, whatever. It just reminds me almost of 9/11, except it's the opposite of 9/11. 9/11 was a huge show, a huge display. This is almost hidden. It literally happened under the water, and it's literally not being talked about. I looked at yesterday's Sunday Independent in Ireland, not one mention of this thing, even though to me, it's like one of the major events. It could be almost like Pearl Harbor or 9/11. And yet this is the sort of media we're living in now, where they're not going to tell you anything of any value anyway. So again, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I'm complaining about it. It's shocking to me that something so huge, and which I believe is definitely done by America, it's no question it's done by America. Then there's these lame attempts to blame Russia for everything. It's just a sorry state we've reached. Anyway, not very positive.
So have you turned your heating on?
No, we're down here in the west of Ireland. It doesn't actually get that cold. The weather is fairly lousy here, but it doesn't get that cold. We pretty much go through the whole winter without even heating, honestly. It's not, personally, it's not going to be such a problem for me, but I think it's a problem for Europe in general, and certainly in Germany and Austria and Switzerland and these places, it gets very cold.
Yeah.
But I think we can actually skate by on that one.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thing, this Nord Stream. Is it Nord Storm or
Nord Stream?
Nord Stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes, I was being told about it yesterday, and at Stand in the Park, and Bev there was saying he definitely felt it was America. And I did see the Biden. He did a speech, didn't he, some time ago, basically saying if Russia invades Ukraine,
correct,
they would put a stop to the pipeline. So it's pretty kind of,
yeah,
guilty.
There's Biden and several others in the administration making similar kind of remarks, including Condoleezza Rice. This is from back in like 2014-15. So it's a well-known American bugaboo. They don't want Russia and Germany cooperating, and it's a natural cooperation. You got the German technology and the Russian resources. It's a potentially great thing for both countries, and that's what they want to prevent at all costs, the Americans, and essentially that's what they've done.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, and I lived in America for 40 years. I don't hate the country or anything like that, but I kind of know what they're like. And I think this is very typical. Like they just, with one swoop, they just kill any possibility of peace.
Yeah. So it is interesting, isn't it, the subject of war and peace? I mean, I always tend to take it from global to local, because of course the little war that I'm experiencing right now is happening in Cressbrook, and it's exactly the kind of thing that the local people in Cressbrook would do, is to sabotage the pipeline or whatever, to kind of scupper plans, And so it kind of comes down to this inclination, this program of war, which is the default, isn't it? Power over. And there's another interesting thing here, which to me is a massive shift, because in the past, and I'm talking about sort of when I was in the world of business, you know, in accountancy in the
Right.
1980s and the 1990s, the
Mm-hmm.
customer was always king.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas now it's the owner of the resources which is the king, it
Right.
seems to me.
Right.
So everything has kind of turned, because whoever owns the resources has all of the power. And of
And then
course,
you can't even get on the phone. I mean, with these big companies, you can't get them on the phone anymore. Everything becomes
yeah,
almost impossible to do, you know?
yeah, yeah, and so this is the next stage of things of the natural consequence of that is, you know, obviously, if you don't comply, you don't get the resources. So, you know,
Right.
we're in a bit of a precarious situation, I would say.
And yeah, right. And one other thing, which just to point, apparently it costs. This is just the Nord Stream 2 now. There's two pipelines. There's Nord Stream 1, which has been operating for about 10 years. The Nord Stream 2, they've blown up both of them actually. But the Nord Stream 2 costs 11 billion to build. 11 billion. So between the two of them, you're talking about 20 billion. Again, this if you believe in figures, even with 9/11, the 9/11 buildings were only insured for 3.5 billion to give some kind of point of comparison. It is an
Okay.
absolutely massive, massive thing they've done. And yet it's all like, to repeat, it's almost like invisible in the media. You won't hear about it. You have to dig around for it. It's like,
Mm.
it's just an inconsequential event, the way the media treats it.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Okay, Patrick. Well, thank you
Okay.
for sharing that and opening the call. And we'll see what other people may have to say about that too. I'm going to
Sure.
come
Thank you.
next, Roger. I know you've got your hand up, but I'm going to come to Karen actually, if you don't mind me coming to you a bit later in the call. Um, Karen, hi.
Unmute. I think. Can you hear me?
Hello, hi.
Yeah. I just want to carry on with that Nord Stream business
Okay.
because, it is phenomenal how it's another fear tactic of you're going to be so cold and like yourself, I over in Ireland, I live in Wales and basically it's pretty warm here anyway. But the fact is, if you're getting all the stress and aggravation from the rest of Europe, it is going to have a huge implication about what it does to us and as a whole, because we are one planet. So it's sort of like, you're going to be really messing up so many people's lives unnecessarily. I think a lot of it is very intentional, is one of the things. I know that you say the Americans, I am American, but you know what? I don't know that it is so much America. I think that they're helpless in this. They have no choice in this. I think that there's something about the politics in this that supersedes all of what we do. And so this Condoleezza Rice and all that kind of nonsense that's going on, it's planned. It's like you're not going to get away with it no matter what you do. Even if you're the most incredibly intelligent whatever, you're going to be squished. You're going to be down or put down. And I feel we got to stop this somehow. And I don't quite know how, but somehow or other, we have to stand up and say no to it forever, if we can.
You mean no to no to the power of government? Is that
Well,
right?
no to the power of government, but no to the electricity companies or whatever's going on. It's almost like you have to be able to stand up and say, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. I think they're wrecking. They're wrecking their own country,
Yeah.
for sure. It's sort of like on purpose. Like if you know they're doing this, I'm thinking, what are our alternatives in any case? But we need to find them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Karen, thank you for sharing. I'm going to come next to Owen. Um,
Oh, Hi, Rachel. Can you hear me?
Hi, Owen. Hello. How are you doing?
Yeah, really well, thanks. I'm in Southern Ireland myself at the moment, in exile. It's very exciting.
In exile?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Well, I was getting a lot of hassle for a Facebook comment from the police in West Wales. So I was advised by the Field Secretary of the International Common Law Courts of Justice, Kevin Annett, to get out of Dodge, basically, cross the water over to Ireland.
Really? Wow.
From West Wales. Yeah, so it's been an interesting few months. You know, I've been doing the WOOFA program, which is farming and gardening volunteering. So a lot of changes, a lot of moving around, been all over Ireland, seeing a lot of different communities and different styles of how people create sustenance for themselves. You know, it's perhaps a general way of saying it. And you know, this is a wonderfully, wonderfully fertile country. And it's really healthy to see, you know, the homeschooling's happening, the food garden networks are happening, common law assemblies are happening, which is a big one for me. I love all that. You know, people are looking at the health situation very differently. All these, you know, alternative, different ways of, you know, looking after each other with health, frequencies and electromagnetism. You got, what's the one where they got the little tinctures? Homeopathy, all that kind of thing, lots of that kind of thing going on. And it's really healthy, right? So at grassroots level, people are moving away, right, from the conventional mainstream side of things. I just posted up in the chat a really video I'm pleased with. Here in Southern Ireland is a town which they call in English Skibbereen. And there's a mass grave that I visited, and wow, you know, the atmosphere of that place really got hold of me. You know, what do you call it? Telluric geoenergies, perhaps, you know, coming up. But it really affected me. So I was looking at this book I got from the museum locally too about the cradle of Fenianism. So we were talking about just now about, you know, how America is being sabotaged, right? And you know, perhaps it's better to look away from this whole idea of nation states, you know, the label, if you like, of being, you know, identifying with a flag and a government and this kind of thing, and you know, becoming aware of this. Very much like a corporation. You know, you think about, I don't know, Mercedes or Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever it is, they've got a global HQ, right? And that's exactly the same as what's going on with global leadership in terms of politics, right? Corporations, they have a global HQ, but it's covert. They don't announce that, you know, just like the Freemasons in the newspapers or the news. Similarly, the global HQ with regards to politics and corporations isn't, you know, frontline news for obvious reasons. And so the word was sabotage, right? Was that, maybe that wasn't the word, but that's what I interpreted. You know, is America being sabotaged? I think yes, that's a clear speculation, or there's a lot of evidence for it, right? Why would that be? Well, America's done its job in a way. It's finished its time at the top of the table, if you like, and now things are moving across the Pacific to China. So all the Vatican money, you know, let's really get a grip of how much this historical and ancient power base has shifted away from overt military control to much more clandestine financial control. There's a really interesting set of documentaries by a guy who calls himself Memoirs of an Economic Hitman, where they're using the International Monetary Fund to get these third world countries via the politicians, you know, we'll give you a beach house in the Caribbean, sign the papers, take the debt, and then we got you. We got you with the financial control system, right? So all the money is now being moved over to China. China is becoming the hub, if you like, of the empire. And there's an interesting historian called Webster Tarpley who plots the cancer through history, all the way from Sumeria, Babylon, the Phoenicians, the Romans, the Greeks, all these kind of things, all the way up to Northern Europe, you know, via Spain, France, Holland for a little while, over to the British Empire, then poof, all around the world. And then it jumps across to America. And now it's changing again. We're in transition time over to China. And I'm probably coming to the end of my time here. But I just wanted to say that those camps that were being mentioned were always perceptionally placed into camps: religion, politics, money, gender, race, you name it. And it's divide and rule, right? So they find a way of putting a label on us, so we identify, and then they give us an enemy. You know, we just got to get past this, and we're home and dry. You know, maybe anarchy is the land of milk and honey.
Okay, Owen, thanks for that.
And all the best with Cranbrook, right, Rachel?
Cressbrook.
Cressbrook, beg your pardon.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, Owen, thanks for coming on and sharing that. And good to hear that everything is, there's a whole new wave coming through in Ireland. Just to say on the astrology, I'm sure you know this, or everyone knows this, especially if you follow Pam Gregory, but America's having its Pluto return. And I think it's been going, I think it's 27 degrees of Pluto, and Pluto's been going back and forth like a car reversing to, kind of back and forth over this 27 degrees. And it is like the destruction of the strength of America, because it seems to me America's split in two anyway, isn't it? With Republicans and Democrats, and, Trump was the real wrecking ball within America. So yeah, it's astrologically, it's on the cards that it's reached the end of its power cycle.
The residue of Pluto, right? So Pluto's all about top-down control, the hierarchical, patriarchal, like, even though it's a feminine earth sign, right? But it's got that sort of hierarchical, infrastructural control aspect. Pluto, interpersonal, right? Collective, social. But it's the residue at the end, right? We're clearing through the crap, in the dregs at the end of the system.
Yeah. And yes, it's going through Capricorn. So Capricorn really is the system. It's like the father, the patriarchy. And America's very much embedded in that. So by next March, Pluto then goes into Aquarius. So it's kind of like next March is the breakthrough, the absolute breakthrough.
Fresh air sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, Owen. Thank you. Thanks. I'm going to come to Annie next, aka Purple Sofa. You are
yes,
looking
that's my social media name, Purple Sofa. I post quite a lot on Telegram and things. I've got a few things to say, really. I'm reading David Icke's book on Audible, actually, called The Trap, which was published last month, no, August, and absolutely extraordinary and uplifting. There is hope.
Okay.
Definitely. I would urge everybody to read it.
Can you give us a little précis of what he's saying?
That he has been chosen, and he went through an awful lot of hardship. There were various things that happened to him that awoke him, and he was put into a position where he was on television and famous, and that was part of his kind of grooming by these higher powers. And he talks about the interventions that have happened in his life, which they're just extraordinary. And how the tide is turning, how he spent years addressing empty halls with about 3 people in there and doing a tour, across America and Canada, and the same thing happened. And since about 2012, it's changed, and he packs them out, and he goes in on all the marches, and he has huge followings, and people are realizing that he's not crazy anymore. This lizard thing, I can remember thinking the man's barking mad, but these are things, we're in a battle of good and evil, and that's it, straight up. It's the forces of good and evil, and there are powers and things that we do not understand, and our history, our global history, has been absolutely suppressed. It seemed to all start with the Egyptians and the Romans and very little else before that. There's no acknowledgement of any of these things. And there's another book by Graham Hancock called Fingerprints of the Gods, which is looking at history from hundreds of thousands of years ago, and how it's been suppressed. It's there, and you look at the building of the pyramids, for example, which would have been about 5,000 years ago, I think. Physically impossible to maneuver some of these stones, which weigh the same as and are the same size well, they're the same size as 33 double-decker buses, and they're weighed in stone. Physically impossible to move these into a position really high up and just put them all there with any kind of mechanics. They'd even struggle today. And there's lots of things they've found in the pyramids which are tooled in granite in absolute precision and intricacy that could, and 40,000 of these vases, you know, and they've all been stamped with Ramses. He put his name, he found them and put his name on it. He didn't do this. And it's impossible to do that kind of level of tooling, even with today's machinery, you know, the precision that is there. And you certainly couldn't use slave labor with chisels to do it. You know, there are questions that we do not understand. You know, there are things that we do not understand. There are also things where there's a temple of Artemis somewhere in Greece, and there was a landslide, and it exposed these pillars that went right down, that over time, and, you know, they cannot possibly calculate how old this building is, because, you know, it's you know, well, I'm sort of lost for words. I'm devouring all this stuff, and it's absolutely fascinating. And you realize how even the archaeologists have, you know, drawn a line, and they don't really go beyond this period in history, which is fairly recent. You know, the world is 4.5 billion years old, and man has been on this planet for a tiny, tiny amount of time. You know, it's as if we just arrived here. You know, there's the ascent of man that you see, but, you know, we modern man, with all the technology and all the brains and all the capabilities, we've been here for a microsecond.
Yeah.
And, you know, the implication is that we are not originally of this earth, you know. Yes. And we have to, I think all of us have, we're all awake. We all sit there now, and when something happens, we understand it, or we try to understand it, or we accept it. We're not kind of, no. And with these lizard beings and the 13 horrible families, that bloodlines that have corrupted this whole world, and this leads back to them, you know, there are, I don't know, demonic or intergalactic or things that are, you know, beyond our reasoning. And, you know, a lot of us will believe in ghosts and spiritual things, and, you know, we're happy to do that. And cultures around the world have all believed in these things forever. So why can't we, you know, broaden our minds a little bit and accept? And David Icke actually explains this so brilliantly, how this lizard thing, you know, these shape-shifting lizards come into reality and are controlling everything. And you only need to look at Soros and, you know, Rothschilds and all these people, and to see that they look like lizards.
Is he talking about Wetiko there?
Oh yes, I think so. Yes, that comes up. Up. I mean, I've only just started his book called The Trap, and I'm also halfway through the Greatest Secret. And, you know, he is talking. He has been waiting for this, and the Greatest Secret was written in 1998, and it's as if it was written today or yesterday. You know, it's bang up to date. So. I would recommend anything, and for people to have a look.
Yes.
And I've been doing lots of I don't know, inspired by this, but it goes back a long way. I've done lots of sort of psychic work, and I'm now able to, I believe I can read people really, really well. And I'm seeing these global leaders, and it's just fascinating watching their faces, because the most evil ones all seem to be having this kind of jaunty, happy, you know, manner about them. People like Trudeau, Jacinda, Bill Gates, who else? Macron, even Biden, Kamala Harris, and people like that. They and Ursula von der Leyen, when they're delivering bad news, horrible things like you're not going to get any heat, you're not going to be able to do this, you're going to take a jab, you know, they do it with a smiley delivery, and it's just quite extraordinary. It's not like anything I've ever seen before. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's just an observation that the more jolly they are about it, the more they're intent on the evil.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Annie, for sharing all of that. And yeah, have to get hold of David Icke's book. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to come next to Wendy.
Hi, Rachel. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Wendy. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah. I was quite poised by what Owen was talking about, homeopathy. I sort of went, yay, because I'm a homeopath
Cool.
for 16 years. And what I wanted to pull in with that was that about a year ago, I moved back to Newark, where I originally was born. And the Stand in the Park group have been great in encouraging me to get on and do workshops. So I'm doing lots of workshops now, teaching people to use homeopathy at home. And in my little Telegram group, I've got 70 people now. So I'm like, wow, this is fantastic, of empowering people to use homeopathy, to go foraging, because I love foraging. I make my own herbal tinctures as well, like nettle, dandelion. I made gratigas the other day, and I've made a stellaria one, which is chickweed. And I also do courses on tissue salts and flower essences, and just really, really getting it out there and teaching people. So yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on. So thank you, Owen. It's nice to hear other people using natural remedies, and that people are really getting involved and understanding to take back their power about their own health.
So Wendy, just give us a very quick summary of how homeopathy works for people who maybe don't know, if you can. Sum it up.
Yeah, sure. So it's based on a like for like basis. So what you would have in its crude form, and I usually use the analogy of belladonna, the plant, which in its crude form is a plant, and in that form it would give you a fever, delirium, coma, and eventually death, because it is deadly poisonous. So you don't eat a belladonna plant. But what the pharmacists do, it's not what I do, it's like Helios or Ainsworth. The pharmacists will, what they call, grind and crush the plant and add alcohol and water. And then they do what's called a succussing. So it's a banging effect. And they'll dilute and succuss and dilute and succuss, and they'll carry on this process over and over and over again until they get to what's called Avogadro's number. And at that point, there's no physical evidence left with what we started with. We're into quantum physics and energy medicine. So in its homeopathic form, in its energy form, a bit like Masaru Emoto with his memory of water, that memory then is, you give that remedy for somebody, let's say with my daughter when she was little would have belladonna when she had a fever. Instead of taking Calpol, give a belladonna, and it would stimulate your own immune system to bring down the fever at its own rate, at its own pace, naturally. So it's just stimulating your own immune system. So it's energy medicine. And that's my simple explanation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Wendy.
Thank you.
Where are your courses? Are they online or in person, and whereabouts are they?
Mainly in Newark at the moment. I'm just starting to look at other venues. I've got one at South Scarl, which is just into Lincolnshire. And I'm looking at writing one for online, but I do prefer the in-person, because for me, it was also about building community back. So when people get together, they're making new friendships. We can talk openly, because most of the people that come are aware of what's happening. So, people get together and talk and make friends, and it's great. It's just a fabulous day out, really.
Cool. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. And you, Rachel.
Okay. Right, I'm going to come to Deanne next. So I'm keeping Roger and David waiting, and Owen's already been on. Oh, and we've got Michael here as well from California. Deanne?
Hi, Rachel. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering why you hadn't come up on the screen, but you are now. You're looking very pink there, Deanne.
Yeah, it's pretty pink here. Yeah, it's great to just be in a different environment, to be honest, with a smoothie whilst listening to all of you. It's lovely. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Rachel. How are you? Hope you're good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for a little while. So I've been listening to some of the things that you've been saying, but I guess I'm just really focused on what I'm creating at the moment, which is I'm going to be taking over some Mind, Body, Spirit events next year. And Wendy, what you were talking about, I'd love to have you as part of the events. And if there are any of you actually that are doing holistic therapies or sharing or psychic readings, or have any books or music that you want to get out into the world, then oh, you can hardly hear me. Oh, that's a shame. Hang on, see if I can turn it up. Can you hear me?
I can
now?
hear you, Deanne. Maybe you're just a bit quieter than.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, I'll try and speak a bit louder. So I'm going to be running some Mind, Body, Spirit events next year in Nantwich and Alsager. And I'm looking for people to share their health and well-being expertise, to share music. If you've written a book or anything, then to share your life's journey, really. I want to make the events all about all the different aspects of well-being and health and our environment, looking after our environment, our energy, our space. Feng Shui, Rachel, if you wanted to talk a bit about that, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so I wanted to share that, and also mention that there is an event that I'll be at in Nantwich on the 29th and 30th of October this month. So if anybody wants to get in contact with me, please put a message in the chat and we can connect. It'd be lovely. I really want to create a beautiful platform to help get this information out there in a more sort of public arena. And I'm hoping Rachel's going to help me a little bit too. But yeah, that's kind of where all my energy and focus is going at the moment. But if any of you want to get involved, you're more than welcome. It'd be amazing to have you as part of it. And it takes me back to my old days of running events and doing spiritual networking events, which is where I met Rachel years ago now. So yeah, I won't take up too much more time, but it's just lovely to speak and say hello to everybody and
cool.
listening as well. And I'll catch up with you all soon.
Yeah, thanks, Deanne.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel. Bye.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm going to come to Michael next in California. I'm assuming that's where you are still, Michael. Hi.
Yes, I am, and I've missed you. I think I started. I'm sure I started interacting with you, Rachel, last March. So it's been about a year and a half.
Yes.
And there's been an awful lot of change and arc through all this. I'm so glad that y'all have been mentioning some things that are really relevant. So I missed you, and I was so delighted that you were back today. So happy afternoon, those of you across the pond. It's not even 5 a.m. here, but I'm delighted to be with you. We just had a very special event yesterday evening, inaugurating some great actions. It's been a strange journey. When I first tuned in with y'all, I had just lost my home, and was working with a ranch, and we're bringing people together with solutions. For instance, filing as a private membership association, a PMA, or a ministry, or a 508c1a. Those are things that we do here in the States. And so I brought an event together on March 13th, 2 days before my birthday last year. And, but my managing director, I stayed with her in her home the first week of June, and she created my EIN, that's employer identification number, and my bank account. And so we're kind of, it's like moving into a trust where you're not taxable. So the Mankinder movement is the Mankinder ministry, and in service to mankind, and avoiding the traps of tyranny. And you good folks know that we're not, it's not just mankind being assaulted, but really all carbon-based life in this realm. So this is a war, and it's rather complex. Now, some of those structures are common across all law forms, where we are not legitimately under the control of the state, but they make it look like you are. And by tricks of language, as I think you all have talked about in the past, you think that you're a citizen. That's a good thing. And you fill in the form. Are you a US citizen? Yeah, I'm a citizen. Are you a resident of California? Yeah, I live in California. I'm a resident. But those words have huge meanings that people don't understand, that you're indicating that, yes, I am your slave. Mm-hmm. Yes, I submit to your control over me, and I have no control over myself. It's like when you get an attorney or a lawyer, you are admitting that you're an imbecile. Literally and legally, you're saying, I have no right to control myself. You're in charge.
Yeah. You
give them power of attorney, power over you. So I started figuring all this stuff out, and pulling the right people together. As I say, I started with Jackie Fig, who was British, and then she came over here. So she had a lovely accent. If y'all look her up, Jackie, Jacquie, Fig, Figg. So she was our hero in Southern California. Set me up in the first week of June. Being around her it was like, I felt like I was in tar, watching her and her husband do so much stuff so fast. And then she and her husband and 2 other men were killed in a plane crash on July 15th. So everything has been upside down for this year. And then I moved in with someone, moved my whole office full of equipment and my entire life of intellectual properties and computers and cameras and lights and my passport and my clothes, and moved into this person's home to make a film with this person. And then I was assaulted and pushed out. So I've not even had my usual tools of creation since September 13th of last year. So it's been an interesting journey. And the fact that y'all mentioned David Icke and certain other things is so relevant, because what I've come to realize, because I know people who are legit targeted individuals, legit TIs, and but if you said that, oh, I'm a targeted individual, there's voice to skull and this is happening to me, and you can sound crazy. Now, myself being a really expensively overeducated person, Jesuit college preparatory high school, the best in the, all boys Jesuit college preparatory high school, the best in Illinois, so probably the best in the Midwest of the United States. And then Northwestern University as a mechanical engineering major initially, and then I became a filmmaker. They couldn't go at me that way because I'd out them, right? So as crazy as it sounds, now I have a friend in my inner circle of my team that has helped me understand, no, I really was targeted my whole life very subtly. And so people appear in your life and you think, oh, I'm going to help this person, because it's like we nice people, we've got like a target on our head. They see you coming. They can tell you're empathic. Rachel, you are so powerful and gifted. I really think you're one of the most powerful people in our world. And that's why I found you, because I've been scouring the world, like, who are the great leaders that I can connect with and work with? Because it occurred to me, my natural family thing, where it was just all for one and one for all. My parents were impeccable paragons of integrity, but a bit naive. They thought that the church, our Catholic Church was okay, and the government people were okay, and the corporations were okay. Both my parents worked in advertising, so I say I'm a child of the advertising industry. My dad working at Zenith Radio Corporation, the television company, for 40 years, from 25 to 65. He had no idea he was marketing tools of mass enslavement and brainwashing, because they were such good people. They were projecting. They thought other people were good people like they were.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. And so I was like, oh, you would like help? Well, why would anybody lie? Because eventually you're going to get caught. But we know the story of the scorpion and the frog. I'm a scorpion. It's like, why did you not get this, frog, you idiot? You deserve to be killed if you're that stupid. So that's that attitude of that other type of being, which we can't even fathom. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
We're just both going to drown because they just eat. They're just at you. They're not thinking of the long term. We're nice people thinking the long term. It's a totally different species.
Yeah.
So this metaphysical coach friend of mine, I'd love to introduce anyone to her. And I need other people like this. I need a team of people that can do this. Literally took attachments off of me. I felt my life totally transformed.
Yeah.
She's like, so now what we're doing is completing what I had begun some time ago. Like, I made this postcard campaign. And if people, once we get enough organizations together, and we decide what the website is, and people, just put postcards on houses, and it'll direct people to a particular website, and it says, "Are you confused? You concerned, suspicious, frustrated, tired of confusion, concern, and frustration?" Direct people to a website, and that way it's kind of anonymous. But if they're interested, they can start to find stuff out. Imagine if worldwide, everybody could download the same postcard design and direct people to solutions. So yeah. I'm now working with this phenomenal owner. He's got such a good heart. It's just about 9 acres, but a beautiful, beautiful property. And I'm keeping it so on the hush hush of where we are exactly. And we're bringing people together on particular nights and teaching people how to correct your status to become a national instead of a citizen or a resident, and create a private membership association that is not taxable and unassailable and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm all about the advertising, the marketing, media production, getting the word out to people that will hear us. And it's like a guy who likes farms and farming is a farmer. I'm a mankinder.
Okay, Michael, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, dear. And I invited you a long time ago to be on the board of directors, and now we're finally ready.
Thank you. And thanks for your kind words, Michael. Very sweet of you. Okay, I'm going to come now to, finally, you've been waiting patiently. I'm going to come to you, Roger. And then if David's there, I'll come to David and then back to Owen.
Okay, right. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Roger.
Yeah, hi. I'll be very brief. I am actually an office here for the exchange of common law information. So I'm getting information from all my contacts on a daily basis, and I'm able to pass on relevant information by my Zoom meetings on a Sunday or by email. So I've put my email in the chat, but I'm going to say it again anyway. My email address is rogermanners@yahoo.com. Roger is spelt without a D. Manners is spelt as in good manners. So that's all I have to say. If you want information about common law, please email me. And you can also join my Zoom meetings on a Sunday at 3. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks for coming on, giving that practical support. I can't see David in the screen there, so I'm actually going to come to Julie. David, I'll come to David and then I'll come to Julie actually, because Julie wants to speak because Owen's already been on, but I will come to you, Owen, hopefully.
Did you say me now, Rachel?
I'm actually coming to David.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. David, are you able to speak? Is he able to? Is David going to give us a demo of the spinning jenny, I wonder?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Loud
can
and
now.
clear.
Right.
Right. I've got a spinning jenny going back to 1764, and I've created small modifications, and I'd love to sing John Lennon of the Beatles, what he wrote and sang, the song Imagine. Thanks for your patience. Imagine there's no virus. It's easy if you try.
It is easy if you try.
No Gates or Fauci. And no blatant lies. Imagine all the people shaking hands today. Ah, ah, ah. Imagine there's no lockdowns. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to wear a mask for. And no injection too. Imagine all the people living life so free. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine there might be. I wonder if you can. No need for fear or panic. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.
Woo! Thanks, David.
Thank
Lots
you.
of, lots of amazing comments for you.
Thank you for
coming
your
in.
patience.
You're brilliant, David. We love you. Keep on being so wonderful and bright. Keep singing, everyone. Sign that man up, someone. Brilliant. Shine your light, David.
Thank you. The modification is this asymmetric linkages. What happens when you put a light on the top and the bottom, like these fairy lights, it creates an expansion of colours, rainbow colours, on the floor and on the top. So you get this energy coming up and down, which is what your heart is doing.
Yeah. Cool, David. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. I've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to keep going round, and I'm going to come to Julie. And then
hi, Rachel.
Oh, hi.
It was very timely actually, because I was just going to talk about the power of singing. I'll keep this quick. And we actually did in my community group, we had a community garden for lockdown, and we did a version of that song, Imagine There's No COVID. I'll put it in the chat with one of our volunteers, Magic Sam. Anyway, he's written some really good protest songs. Now, what I was going to say is I went to an amazing event on Friday with Ravi Freeman. It's the first time I've seen him. My friend organised it. Wendy was there as well. And it was brilliant. It was like a gong bath and singing, just the power of singing. So uplifting. And afterwards he was saying that, you know, it's interesting how people have responded to this by just doing things like creating new things. You know, we can't go to the old stuff. It used to make me really angry. I was really deep in like a negative state. There's a lot of like anger about it, that I couldn't do certain singing anymore because they were asking for tests and all this stupidity. So I've just set up my own singing group now. So we also have a singing group every 2 weeks. And it's mainly like-minded people, so yeah, that's it really. That's all I wanted to say. So keep singing.
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Good that you've experienced Ravi, because obviously I've done a lot of work with Ravi in the past, and he's come to Crestbrook and done singing ceremony and workshop there. So
yeah, I was due to see him at Buxton and I couldn't make it. So my baby had an operation in July, and at the hospital, no one ever mentioned COVID. So they never asked for a test to go and see him, which I wouldn't, you know, I'm not going to go all into it, but he's fine now. But what I'm saying is this other kind of singing that I really want to do, that I've done for years, they're asking for tests to go singing. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, but I'm just sad more than mad about it now. So it's good to focus on the good stuff than the dark. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Julie. I'm going to come to you, Helen. Hi, Helen.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to share something briefly about ADHD and this period we're in now, and how it was floated by me many times, ADHD, and I realized I have ADHD, but I pushed away the diagnosis because I thought I'm not going to take pharmaceuticals or anything, and I don't really like labels. But the more I've embraced it, because my life was slightly derailing, and understood it on a really deep level. And also there's a rise, especially with women. And I just finished running a retreat yesterday for women with ADHD, and hearing a shaman speak a few years ago. And many people when I speak to about ADHD, they sort of like, oh, I have those symptoms too. And so I wanted to give a voice, because I think there's a reason why it's happening. Is that shamanically, the age of a Pisces was a triangle, right? Pyramid structure, focus on one thing, job for life, partner for life, you know, trying to power over people and focus in one direction to get the top of the triangle. The age of Aquarius is cyclical, and it's circles that overlap, and that's the flower of life. And so in the cyclical energy, having attention that goes in many different places and is actually a benefit, because all the infrastructure is crumbling. So we're going to have to not just be one thing for life, and we are healers slash entrepreneurs slash space holders, whatever it is. And so actually, if this is something that people are finding diagnosis, or they're feeling in the overwhelm, actually the whole day yesterday and what the conversations I'm having with people is really seeing this as the tool that is needed for the mindset for the future, and also the huge sense oversensitivity that comes with that condition is because you realize the world is not right, and you need to be sensitive to the not rightness of it in order to change. Whereas the label suggests that we're wrong and the world is right, but I think it's the other way around. And I just wanted to give a voice to that for anybody who is experiencing ADHD, and feel free to get in contact. I'll put my email down if you do, but just to have that as a maybe something on your plate to consider if it's showing up.
Cool. Thanks, Helen. Thanks for coming on and sharing that. I'm just going to come to Owen for the last word, because you've been patiently waiting. Brian, I know you've got your hand up, but you'll have to come on for the next session with Helen, I think. So, Owen, last word to you. Oh, you need to unmute.
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, thanks very much. I just thought I'd put my hand up again after Karen was talking about homeopathy and the quantum level healing. And you know, this is where we're going. We're heading so quantum level, electromagnetics, and, you know, away from the material world and down deeper, you know, into this sort of DNA genetic area, which is much more metaphysical than physical. And so, you know, I do the sound healing with the tuning folks, you know, similar thing in certain respects, you know, a little bit like the acupuncture, you know, with the meridian lines, this sort of thing. But there's a guy I posted up in the chat a link to, Dr. Tom Cowan, who I'd like to just flag up to finish. And he's written 2 books, really interesting books. One's called The Contagion Myth, suggesting that, you know, contagious illnesses are a myth, and that he plots the very interesting correlation between the intensification of electromagnetic frequencies with satellites and Wi-Fi's and mobile phones and just electrics in the house, etc., and the increase in respiratory problems, you know, similar to the COVID symptoms, right? So David was singing, "Imagine there's no COVID." Well, Tom Cowan's got a lot of evidence to support that, David. And so, and just to finish this, him and his colleague, Andrew Kaufman, they've written to 150 state and governmental health institutions worldwide, asking for physical evidence in a petri dish or a test tube of SARS-CoV-2, which is what they're calling COVID, in a physical sample specimen. Nobody can provide it for them. There is no COVID officially, because they haven't done what's called the Koch postulate tests. Mm-hmm. So, you know, officially, they say there's COVID, but these doctors, you know, under the radar, obviously, are not able to get hold of any evidence to support that. So when you get down to the DNA quantum level, we're projecting biophotons, right? So then the other book I posted up in the chat, just to finish, is David Talbot's The Holographic Universe. Now you have a look at that, and you look at how mind over matter, you know, everybody says drop in the heart space, and I do agree, because, you know, courage is in the heart, and then the darkness fades away because you're brave, right? But also, let's keep the mind in mind. You know, we need to conceptualize and intellectualize all these things we're being told that set our, you know, fear racing and our emotions flying. We've got to understand. Yeah? We still need to keep the mind in mind.
Okay, Owen, thank you. Thanks for that information.
Well,
okay. And a lot of people are asking for me to give you the last word, Brian. So, Brian, people are asking for you. 1 minute, yes. 1 minute, and then we'll close.
Okay. Respect. Oh, yeah. I've been at the roundabout with the courageous people doing the protest this morning. Yes, I was chatting for a long time, so I'm late to this meeting. So yes, my energy is amazing. The people are courageous. But yes, that there are so many people asleep, isn't it? This isn't just about these corrupt jabs anymore, is it? This is not about even the magnetic radiation. This is about getting our law back, isn't it? We are sovereign because of the Constitution, the common law, yes. And there is maritime law over there, out there, property law, but we are not on a ship, we are not property, and I do not consent, do I? And they have taken it from us. So we are there protesting, making people aware, and just trying to get the local people to be accountable to their local officials, or to be local officials, so we can get back to some accountability in the proper law. So yeah, I've got some material, I should put it out, about what I said at the roundabout, waking people up. So yes, so I am out there being the best I can be, and you are amazing. You're doing amazing stuff. And yes, I'm about the spiritual growth. This is all getting very biblical to me, but this isn't about what I believe, is it? It's about the right to have a belief, and not to have somebody tell me what I should believe because of the law, isn't it? I am sovereign and I have the right to an opinion, free speech, free trade, and to be unlimited possibilities. So thank you, Rachel. I will be quite quick. I'm passionate, as you can tell. And I want to explain the reason I was late to this meeting was because we were having a local meeting of ourselves, and people are waking up.
Yeah.
And people are passionate, like you.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, great that you're doing the Rebels on Roundabouts thing and getting out there. So lots of love.
When I started, it was about the magnetic radiation and lowering your immune system and causing you all sorts of problems. And then this COVID thing hit. Well, I'm trying to draw people to the Purbright Laboratory. I call it Willy Wonka Factory because we had trouble with foot and mouth from them in the past, and anthrax. There was leaks and there was no accountability.
Yeah.
And I've heard some horrible stuff about patents there now, and the Wellcome Trust. So I'm doing due diligence on it. And yes, the one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. And I'd like to think I've got an open mind. And yes, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me get who's not accountable. That EWEF are not accountable, are they?
Yeah.
We are local.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming on. Good to hear from you. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to the main screen. So sending you all lots of love. Give us a wave just to end the call. It's 1:08. Nice time to end. Lots of love, and see you in 2 weeks' time with Helen hosting. Bye-bye.